out on the slide anymore?
No.
Okay. All right, everybody. I'm Tom Aguero. We are here at Braxton. We're going to talk about the Dark Charge Day, the Winter Block Party, some other stuff they've got going on, bottle releases in general, and we are here with
Jonathan Gandalf, run marketing here at Braxton, running point on the Dark Charge event, and happy to have you guys. Thanks for coming out.
Running point on Dark Charge event.
Yeah, trying to.
That was a nice
herding cats.
Yeah, trying to.
Yeah, somebody has to.
I mean, it's a huge event.
Yeah, we're really looking
Guys,
forward to
you
it.
have what? 8 different bottles coming out?
7 different bottles.
7 bottles coming
yeah.
out?
So,
live bands all day for
live
10
bands,
or 12 hours?
Yeah, live bands from 12 to 11 p.m. And then one of the big changes we made this year is we've got local food partners.
Right.
So instead of food trucks, we're going to have Dark Charge inspired or infused meals here from some of our local vendors. And they're all doing taster portions and full portions, so you can kind of taste your way through all of them.
That's a great idea.
And I'm
a taster portion.
I'm really excited.
And of course, time tappings throughout the day, that's going to be hard to manage.
Yes.
Plus 20 some guest taps, it looks like?
18.
18 guest taps, okay.
Total number. We tried to cut down on the rotating this year.
Yeah.
Last year, one of the big feedback we heard from everybody was that they wanted Dark Charge to be on tap all day, all variants. So we're doing that this year. Doing some time tappings of last year's Dark Charge variants in the tap room. So kind of the best of both worlds there, but trying to take the feedback we hear from everybody and apply it to this year.
So the main event is still in the parking lot next door.
It's actually right out front. So the parking lot next door is turned into apartment complexes, and then the parking lot next to that's parking for construction on the apartment complexes. So what we've done is we've worked with Covington. We're closing the parking right in front of our building, and actually all of 7th Street on the day of the event. So we have 2 heated tents out there. They'll be walled. Well, it's looking like it's going to be 50 and sunny, so hopefully don't need too much heat, but they'll be right out in front, spill into the tap room. Should be a great day to celebrate the beer and celebrate the community.
That's awesome. And so, when does it start? At noon?
Starts at noon. Last year we had a line forming around 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Don't know what to expect this year, but expect there to be a little bit of a line. We did increase bottle counts this year, so hopefully that means bottle sales will last longer for everybody.
Maybe people will sleep in. Probably not.
Exactly. You'll sleep in again, right?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, but should be a really fun day.
Cool. And then it goes until midnight?
So the last band outside ends at 11 p.m., and then we'll kind of see, we'll judge it from there. We have to close at 1 a.m., but I would expect outside will start kind of filtering out around 11 p.m. and then obviously inside at 1 a.m.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
And the taps and the bottle sales both at noon, right?
Correct. So all Dark Charge variants will be on tap beginning at noon. The one that we don't think will last all day is the Braxton Labs variant that we did. We're hoping it will, but that's the one we can't be sure of. But everything else we should have on tap all day, and then some of the timed guest tappings start at noon, and then it's 12, 3, 6, and 9 p.m. And that full lineup is on our blog with all the different beers that we're tapping with some really exciting ones.
And now that he's done getting stuff set up, we've got Jesse behind the scenes with a beard again.
I'm actually allowed to be on camera this time because, as you can see, the beard is back. I'm 2 days away from finishing No Shave November, but we've got kind of a fun setup and stuff for you tonight, just as the Wizard was talking about. If we check over to our product camera, here is your full lineup of all the, or is it the complete lineup there?
That is the complete lineup, yeah.
Complete lineup of all your Dark Charge variants. Can you kind of run us in what all we've got here?
Yeah, so
starting with,
I'll go from left to right on the camera there. So s'mores on the far left is a new variant this year: cocoa nibs, graham cracker crust, and marshmallow. The next one is tiramisu, which we actually took our coffee that we brew here in the morning, worked with Carabello Coffee to do an espresso roast of that coffee, and then cocoa nibs, vanilla beans in that one as well. The next one is mole. That's the one we brought back from last year just by popular demand. Ancho chili, cinnamon, cocoa nibs, and vanilla in that. That was just, it didn't win an award at FOBAB unfortunately, but Josh Noel, who's a writer, at least I really respect, for the Chicago Tribune, said it was one of his favorites from that festival, and everybody raved about it last year, so we brought it back. The middle one is Braxton Labs variant, so from our second facility over in Newport. Truly an experiment. As soon as Braxton Labs opened, we started working on this. We re-fermented it with Pinot Noir grape must, and then aged it for an additional 6 months in Pinot Noir barrels.
We've got some slides on this. We're gonna touch back again on that one here in a second. Everyone can kind of get a closer look at what's going on, but it looks like you continue with the bourbon barrel aged charge.
Yep, so base stout, bourbon barrel aged for a year. And then the cherry vanilla. This one's a little bit unique. We actually had 2 bourbon barrels that aged pure vanilla extract as well. And so we aged this beer in those barrels and then added dried cherries and Madagascar vanilla beans as well. And then the most special release this year for us is the bourbon maple barrel. So this comes from 23-year-old bourbon barrels that also aged maple syrup for an additional year. And we actually put this beer in barrels at the end of 2015. So it's been aging for 2 years.
Cool. Can you guys can you kind of tell us, like, is it all like one type of barrel? Because I remember there's the unspoken but pretty definitely sure it was happy year that you guys couldn't.
I didn't say that. It was a 23-year-old bourbon barrel, but I definitely didn't say Pappy. You might be saying that. 23-year-old bourbon barrel. I'll let you do the guessing there. All the other barrels this year were the same. I believe they were Buffalo Trace. I can confirm that with our team, but Buffalo Trace barrels, I'm 95% sure. And then obviously the Braxton Labs barrel. Pinot Noir, finished in Pinot Noir barrels. What is really exciting this year, and we haven't even shared yet digitally, is that we'll be selling the used dark charge barrels at the party this year. So we've got 25 of them that we'll be selling to anybody who wants to take home collectible and use it as decoration.
So as a home brewer,
yes,
that was going to be my question of, will they still hold liquid? Are they still usable? Or is it just decoration?
They should be. So some of them should be usable. Some of them might still have some of the variant ingredients rattling around in them based on how much we could get out of it, but they should still be usable. And we're going to work with each person who reserves one to see how they want it prepared and when they want to pick it up, and if they really want one that's usable, we'll work with our brewers.
There's a lot to go on before a home brewer can use it.
Right.
It's not a simple thing to do.
Right, and we're not going to expect you to buy it on Saturday and leave with it. We'll set up, we'll arrange.
They're heavy. They're big and heavy, and
especially after a few 15% barrel-aged beers.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the bottles and the variants and everything, we already have a question from Ray Beard, as he is now known on Facebook. He wants to know, are the bottles scratch and sniff? So, Wizard, are the bottles scratch and sniff?
They are not. Maybe that's something we can do next year. We did play around with the idea of a augmented reality beer label for the Labs variant this year. We didn't get around to it in time this year, but maybe next year we'll do that and scratch and sniff.
So I was curious, the cherry vanilla, you said it was, the barrels had vanilla in them?
Yeah, so
like 50 gallons of vanilla extract?
Yeah, exactly. So that, if you look at all the variants outside of Labs, that is our most limited variant, and that's because we use those vanilla extract barrels. I think we only had our hands on 2 of those barrels.
Okay.
And so the alcohol percentage on that one is actually a little bit different than the others as well, because apparently vanilla extract is high in alcohol. So yeah, our brewers had a lot of fun with that. So that was the one our builders who backed us on Kickstarter voted on. We tasted it just out of the vanilla barrels, and it was almost so good we had to tell our builders, like, hey, we're not going to do the cherry, but we think you'll really like it. But then we did a little bit with cherry in a little test batch, and we really liked how it turned out. And it's even since we first tasted it, the more it mellows out, the better it gets. So we're really excited.
So you said that's the most limited one?
That's the most limited outside of Braxton Labs.
Okay.
Labs is definitely the most limited. We lost a lot of beer. That was a true experiment on that one. But Labs, the cherry vanilla, and the 2-year Pappy are the most limited.
The 2-year 23?
Yeah, the 2-year 23 plus maple syrup per year. It's like a 27-year project.
Do you know what the limits on those are? Have you figured out what the limit per person will be there?
Yes, so the s'mores, tiramisu, mole, and barrel age are 2 per person. The Labs, cherry vanilla, and 2-year, 23-year, 1 year is 1 bottle per person.
Okay. So if you want the cherry vanilla, the Labs, or the 23 maple, get here early.
Yes.
Because that'll be your best way to make sure you get some.
Yes.
But you should get here early and hang out anyway so you can get them all.
Right.
And again, it starts at noon. So
And we will be showing the Crosstown Shootout. That starts at noon. That's been a big question. We've got it covered. Don't worry. We'll be showing football all day after that. But we've had that question asked quite a bit.
Awesome.
Next time, tell UC and Xavier not to schedule it on our party, right? Yeah.
I think we're at the age now where pick a day, it's going to have two things on.
Yeah, even with beer stuff.
If we could go back, I was really interested by what you guys are kind of doing with your labs variant. Right now I have up your imagery for the Braxton Labs, but it seems like you guys kind of did something different with the process this year. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, so we opened Braxton Labs in May, and we knew immediately we wanted to do something with Dark Charge for it. So our brewers kind of dreamt this up. We did such a limited amount of it because we thought we might actually lose all of this Dark Charge beer. And so we did a very limited amount of it, and then we lost more of it when we re-fermented it with Pinot Noir grapes. And then we lost more of it when we re-racked it in wine barrels. But even as it was aging in wine barrels, we weren't real sure what was going to happen. Our brewers tasted it about 2 weeks ago, and were really happy with how it turned out. So went ahead with the project, and then actually, it's today, Tuesday, yeah, last night we hosted a sneak peek at Braxton Labs where people could get tasters of that. And our brewers went back over there and tasted it again and really, really liked. You do get bourbon and wine from it, which was their big concern. They're like, you're either going to get just the bourbon or just the wine from it. And you get both. So it's a really complex beer. I think it's 14.2%, so it'll sneak up on you, but our brewers are really proud of that true experiment. And we hope to do more of that in the future with barrel aging and process, and not so much just ingredients, but how we're actually brewing the beer in that facility.
Now we're going to talk more about Braxton Labs a little bit later, but I want to talk about the winter block party some.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a big, entire block that you're
Yeah.
taking up here. You said 18 guest taps.
Yep.
Bands all day.
Yes.
And then talk a little bit about the food, because I'm pretty excited about that.
Yes, so we've got Wonder Bar, who's doing a Dark Charge beef stew. They'll have their famous pretzels here and a veggie dip. And then Graders is doing s'mores ice cream inspired by our s'mores variant. They'll also have black raspberry chip here and some chip wheelie sandwiches. Smoke Justice is doing a barbecue starter coffee rubbed barbecue brisket slider with Dark Charge barbecue sauce.
That's a little long and complicated.
Yes.
Starter coffee rubbed. What's it?
Brisket slider with the Dark Charge barbecue
That
sauce.
sounds delicious.
Coppins is doing a slider as well, and then Coppins at Hotel Covington. Flip Daddies is doing their French burger with Dark Charge braised onion straws on that. Who am I forgetting? Amerasia is doing a Dark Charge marinated Asian beef over rice, and then they're gonna also have a chicken soup available. And
Did you get Molly Malone's?
Molly Malone's is doing a Dark Charge chili. So we personally eat a lot of their chili, and kind of suggested, hey, why don't we do a Dark Charge chili? And they were on board for that. So
Well, it looks like you got plenty of Graders there too.
yes.
I just had the lineup up on the screen. And something I wanted to touch on when it comes to the event, and switch over to me here. You guys have always been really awesome, working the whole garage concept into everything you guys do. And one thing I've really always appreciated about your events is your music lineup. It's usually a lot of homegrown artists, and it's got kind of often a garage rock feel to it. I'm just gonna bring up your lineup here. Can you kind of walk us through who all you have and what made you decide to pick the
Yeah, selfishly we always try to get bands that we like, and so when we do that, we try not to fall into the trap of just getting the same bands over and over again. So we go out and we listen to bands and we find ones we like. Floyd and the Walkmen, who's opening up, we actually heard them at Queen City Radio and just reached out to them and said, hey, we really enjoyed your sound. You guys want to play at our party? So they're doing that. And then our 3 p.m. band is the Hot Magnolias, who I think closed us out last year. They're just fun brass band, 10 people. They bring a ton of energy. Really excited to have them back. Noah Smith, who again we're just kind of big personal fans of, and he's always fun to work with, and has a lot of really excited fans who come out and see him. We're working with him again. And then closing it out, 500 Miles to Memphis, who is somebody we've tried to book several times prior to this, and calendars never worked out. So we got it on their calendar pretty early this year, and I think they kind of are the perfect kind of garage sound for the event. And we'll close it out with a really great soundtrack.
The band is going to be outside in the tents, right?
Yes, so outside in the heated tents. And then we've also got a DJ playing between sets while bands break down and get set up. And we're actually going to have a DJ inside as well this year. Just kind of keep the party going no matter where you're at.
And so for the guest taps,
Yeah.
18 guest taps, a lot of locals,
Yes.
but also Lagunitas,
Yeah.
New Belgium, and the new Sweetwater collaboration you guys
Yes.
did.
We actually have a question about all the taps we can get
Fire.
to. Tom Hogan wants to know: will the dark charges be all be on tap during the party, or just bottles? So, will all the dark charges be on tap during the party, or just?
They will be, and that's a big change we made this year. Last year we did time tappings with them, and we got feedback that people wanted them on tap all day. So that's what we're doing. The caveat there is that the Labs variant will probably run out at some point during the day. The 23-year-old, 2-year age could run out at some point during the day. I'd be very surprised if any of the others did, but it's while supplies last on all of them. Cool. Guest taps.
Yeah, the Sweetwater collaboration.
Yes.
Want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a really fun project that started, almost 7 or 8 months ago. Just kind of got connected through some random friends and mutual connections. We reached out to them. They said, hey, we'd love to kind of do a project up around you guys. We said, well, we were just getting ready to launch Nashville moving south, so it made sense for us as well. They're notorious for hoppy beers. It's not something Braxton is known for, but we're trying to make a name for ourselves with those styles. So it was a really great opportunity for everybody to learn from everybody. We went down to Atlanta, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months ago, and kind of dripped up the recipe with them, did some test batching, and then they came up here and brewed the beer with us.
Okay.
And we really wanted to package it. We just feel like collaborations are so much more impactful when you can take them and share them with people.
Right.
So that's what we did, and it's been, we've been right down to the wire. We really wanted to make sure we could get it for our winter block party, so we're getting it on draft. We'll tap it on Saturday, and then cans will get released mid-December.
Okay, so it was brewed and packaged here.
It was, yes.
Cool.
It was crazy seeing their facility.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Sweetwater is, but what's really amazing is until just recently, Georgia couldn't essentially have tap rooms.
Yeah.
So they've built this entire business for over 20 years now on distribution, and their facility is built like a distribution facility. Really amazing equipment. They probably came up here, thought our equipment was pretty cute, but
They probably thought your tap room was great.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I went down there a few years ago. I've got family in Atlanta.
yeah,
And a few years ago, Sweetwater was like the only place to go.
right.
And they had a nice, small tap room, beautiful facility, fantastic tour. But it was like, here's your six-ounce samples. Okay, bye. I was like, no, I was gonna get drunk. Oh, I gotta leave.
Right.
Okay, thanks for the glass.
Right. So they that law had just changed when we were down there, and you could tell they were still kind of figuring out the tap room and everything. But it was fun to spend some time with them and learn a lot and just really make new friends and create a beer that we're really excited for people to try.
Yeah. So on tap Saturday, cans
Mid-December.
mid-December.
December 14th is the official launch date. We'll release them in the tap room December 15th, and then we've got a whole lineup of events with their team and our team throughout our entire distribution footprint.
Cool.
Well, that's a good place to kind of take a pause for a second for our station identification. If you're just joining us, we are Brew Minds, and we're here at Braxton today in the garage itself to talk about Dark Charge Day. But you were just talking there, Gandalf, about how Sweetwater has just opened up their tap room and they're still kind of in the learning process. But I know something you guys have kind of made practice of and learned over the years, had some issues here and there with, is the bottle release. And everything's kind of changed from year to year as you guys kind of evolve and everything. So I'm curious, like, what lessons you guys have learned in doing these bottle releases going year to year, and you can kind of share with us, or things that you've taken customer feedback on and that you want to kind of improve upon.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think listening to customers is a big one. That sounds very obvious, but we, after every bottle release and large event that we do, we do we call it a plus delta, or a plus delta. So what were the positive things that came out of the event that we absolutely want to do next year, and then the delta being the things we want to change for next year. So the perfect example of that is Dark Charge being on draft all day this year. Other little things, less rotating beers for our own staff having to change everything. So we regroup on every event, which I think is really important. We don't just have an event and forget about it and go to the next one. But I will say, that is something we are still learning, is what do we shout about? What do we make a really big deal about? You can't make a really big deal about everything, right? Yep. And so we're still kind of finding the proper balance between, okay, this is just going to be more kind of under the radar, probably isn't the right term, but we're gonna, not make as big a deal about it, versus Dark Charge. How do we make as big a deal as possible about it? So we're still finding that balance, and now you throw Braxton Labs into it, and we're starting to do more packages out of that. So it's just striking that right balance between cadence and attention that you want to draw to it, and it's all kind of based on the product and how much you have available, and making sure the customers are aware of how much is available. I think we always try to publish bottle limits and bottle counts so people can kind of do the math on how long it will last. I think being as transparent as possible is very important.
Now for the bottlers itself, is it still, as soon as you get in the door, they take your order, you pay for it, you get your bottles like it was last year?
So another good point of feedback we took from last year is that people were stuck carrying around bottles all last year. So we're doing a bottle check this year, kind of like a coat check. So you'll get your bottles, and then you'll have the ability to check your bottles until you're ready to leave. So you you will purchase the bottle and have your order fulfilled immediately, but then you'll have the option to either check them or take them with you, either or. But we really want you to be able to drop your bottles and enjoy all the amazing draft beers, and then come back and get your bottles when you're ready to leave.
Yeah. And now a question that seems to come up less often is bottle shares in line. I know there was one here last year. I was here way too late for that, but I did walk by a nasty pile of trash, which I then saw you guys cleaning up, and I was like, that's a little shitty, guys. Like, if you're gonna get here at 6 a.m. and drink, at least throw away your own bottles. So are you guys pretending they're not happening, or are you allowing them? Or are you saying no?
I don't know what you're talking about in terms of last year's bottle share. I don't know if anything's planned this year. I would hope people, if they are enjoying bottles of whatever they would like out in our line, that they find the trash on their way in. If not, we've got a team, and we'll make sure it gets taken care of. But yeah, I don't know.
No, that's a good answer. That's a solid tiptoe around it.
Right, yeah.
Nice.
We did have somebody ask about making breakfast, which...
A little propane grill or something?
Yeah, I guess breakfast is fine. I mean, we probably need something to wash that down.
Like, can I get a pancake? I mean, you can make breakfast if I get some, right?
Exactly. We'll have the tiramisu for you, some coffee for you later.
There you go. That's a good idea, yeah.
I have a kind of a question on that for you guys. As you plan these events out, are there other breweries kind of around the country that you take note of how they do things? Or I know you only got a couple weeks, but are there things that you want to add to the event possibly next year? Things that just weren't feasible this year? Or what do you think are some of the best run ones you guys do?
That's a really good question. So the first time we did Dark Charge, we did. We've got breweries out there that we follow locally, regionally, nationally, and you try to learn from them because you know no better. I would say now we're so focused on kind of building our own event brand, if you will, and our own kind of way of doing things that we focus more on how we do it. But we go to bottle shares kind of all over and try to pick out little tidbits. I mean, the Dark Charge inspired food items. We went as a group of us, went to Dark Lord this year, and they had Dark Lord inspired food, and we're just like, oh, duh. Like, that makes so much sense. Why don't we've got so many great restaurants around us, why don't we do that? So you pick up little tidbits like that, but I think at some point, if this event continues to grow, we've already talked about, does it become a ticketed event where you pay one ticket price and you get a bottle allotment plus so many draft beers or whatever. It becomes a little bit more difficult on our end, just logistically and staffing that and accounting for everything, but at some point we'll have to do something if we just physically outgrow the block that we're throwing a block party on. I would hope maybe that's still a couple of years down the road. But we just ultimately want everybody to have the best experience. So if they're coming to an overcrowded party, that's not the best experience. We'll have to find something else to do with that. But
I actually had a question on that because I was trying to envision kind of the space this year because you have construction next door.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what that building is just yet. You can tell us a little bit about that. But are you guys going to be shutting down the whole street then to kind of set up the tent, or
yes?
how's it going to look when people get here?
So the building next door is called Duvneck Square. It's going to be apartments on floors 2 through 4, and then first floor retail. They're actually going to be here on Saturday. They're going to have a little booth set up. They're just getting to the point where they're ready to start kind of renting out apartments. And so they've been really great to work with. It's been the construction's been a little bit of a pain, but they've been over the top and accommodating as much as they can be. They're going to be here, but then we're closing all of 7th Street between Washington and Madison. And then we'll be posting a parking mat before the end of the week. We encourage everybody with the higher alcohol beers that will be being served to Uber or Lyft or get a ride from a designated driver. But if you are parking, look for a map to be posted before the end of the week. Yeah.
Which is approaching quickly.
Yes.
We've got 4 days.
I know. Don't remind me.
All right, so do we want to move on to the next section?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are talking about growth, and with the construction next door, this is a good place to kind of talk about the future of Braxton and what you guys are doing. And we were really kind of interested in first like the Braxton Labs, but it sounds like you guys have some construction here at the main site that you want to talk about and update.
Yeah. So about, let's see, 4 weeks ago now, we cut a hole in our roof. We took out 2 80-barrel fermenters, dropped in 2 120-barrel fermenters in their place. And then we dropped in 3 additional 120-barrel fermenters as well through that roof. The last fermenter was laying on its side outside for a while, and we were kind of twiddling our thumbs like, I don't know if it's going to fit or not. We got it in with inches to spare. I thought it was going to be a lager tank out back for a while. But we got it in, so we were maxed out on our indoor capacity. We're exploring our options beyond that. We do have some space behind the building. We're working with the city on what's possible.
Maybe a third location.
We'll see. We're exploring that. We don't want to get ourselves back into a corner, so we're exploring options. We'll never leave this space. We love Covington, and it's been tremendous to us. But we've got enough capacity now that it's not a pressing need yet. But it is, if we keep growing, we will need to eventually explore potential options. With the first one we're kind of looking into is outdoor fermentation.
I guess I have a two-parted question on that then. I'm really curious why you guys ended up buying the Braxton Lab space there from the party source. And I've got a more pointed question on that a little bit, but so I was curious right off the bat what was kind of enticing about that space, and then also if you guys do open up a third space, which I think you guys are getting to the point is you want to do bigger events and so on. You're going to have to do that here probably in the next couple of years. But I guess let's first go with what was enticing about the party source location.
Yeah. So first and foremost, just the physical space. When we renovated the space that we're in now, we thought we had way more space than we would ever need. That turned out not to be true. And then just the construction of the space, it's tall, but you don't have very much flat area. So if you start installing a lot of smaller fermenters to do your innovation and your small batch testing, you just run out of space very quickly. But it's tall, so we can fit, I think we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 120 barrel fermenters back there, and that's just a more efficient use of our space. So here we were focused on efficiency and scaling and doing everything as efficient as possible. So along the way, we only had 2 20-barrel fermenters and a 40-barrel fermenter. And it doesn't really make sense yet to innovate 120 barrels at a time or experiment or test batch 120 barrels at a time. And we were just out of fermentation capacity for some of those smaller batch projects. So the 15-barrel and 30-barrel fermentation and 15-barrel brew house at what was formerly 8 Ball, was extremely exciting for us. We were actually at the same time that became an opportunity exploring a test batching or a piloting system somewhere else. It was very serendipitous, the timing on all of it, and they were great to work with throughout all of that. But just having the ability to small batch and test batch, we call it our brewer's playground. This space, lives and dies by its production calendar. In Braxton Labs, it's much more loose. There's a lot of flexibility there, and it allows us to test batch things as well. So it was very enticing just from the pure physical space here, and then obviously being attached to the party source would be enticing to anybody, right? And we've had a lot of fun working with their team very closely. I kind of call it Northern Kentucky's best kept secret. We have a liquor license over there, and so we have bourbon over there, kind of playing up the Kentucky heritage. We have some really nice bourbons over there and some really nice cocktails. And Party Source, I think appreciates us being able to highlight products beyond just beer in that space. But ultimately, it's just we're trying things like our Braxton Labs variant, like the sweet potato casserole beer we did, and we want to keep yes, and we want to keep exploring with different brewing processes, different ingredients that aren't just adjuncts. Can we do 4 different IPAs with different yeast strains side by side over there? So those are all sorts of things that are on the roadmap, and as we learn that system, which we're still learning, we'll start trying some even crazier things.
I guess that it would be the highlighting other products that I'm kind of most curious about in your guys' selection of Party Source site, is that it had been kind of a long-standing criticism of how 8 Ball operated, in that you had all these amazing 8 Ball beers, but then they had an equal number of guest taps. Yeah. And it's hard to push your own product when you're competing with whatever
the best beers in the world.
That, Danny was able to get. So how have you guys kind of altered that? Like, how many guest taps do you have on at any given time, or how are you finding that in the middle between being a good kind of tenant of the Party Source and helping them out, but also making sure that your beers are still the pride of the show?
That's a really good question. So we split the taps 2020 between Braxton and guest taps. To be honest, with some of the beers you're sourcing, they just kind of tier themselves out by price. Some of these barrels are international, or really expensive half barrels, 6 barrels, and so they just kind of create a different price tier, where it kind of depends on the individual consumer and what their appetite is for what they want to spend on a beer. So that's one way. The other way is, we try to not duplicate. So we're not going to have a guest tap that is a mango pale ale, and we're also going to tap a mango pale ale. So we try to have truly 40 different unique beers over there. One thing that we did here when we were moving into that space is that's one of the only places locally to get international guest taps. And so we've tried to keep that and keep highlighting that, because we do think that's pretty unique and a pretty cool opportunity for somebody to come in and try. And so there's a number of different things we're doing there. But ultimately, I think a lot of it ends up just happening by the pricing of particular items. And then the one thing we've just started trying to do in the last quarter of this year is highlight friends in the community with tap takeovers. So really turning it into a communal spirit, not being just about Braxton Labs. We want to celebrate the entire community over there. The rising tide raises all boats. And Thursday we're hosting a Mad Tree Tap Takeover, and we're promoting that as much as we're promoting our own beers and hoping people come in and enjoy both.
See, now that's a difference I've noticed from Braxton versus 8 Ball, is that the promotion I see is just Braxton stuff. Yes, there are these other taps and they're there, but it's not like what's important. 8 Ball promoted their own beer and whatever was on tap and all these special tappings throughout the week. You guys are like, this is our beer. Sure, if you want to try that, it's you. Yeah. So I can see that as being a different driving factor for you guys. That's probably helped out a lot of moving your own beer through that space.
Definitely, and you'll see. I think it'll become even more apparent, like the kind of dichotomy between the guest taps and the Braxton Labs taps as we really truly begin to ramp up what we're doing at Braxton Labs. Like I said, we're still learning that equipment, and once we really have that dialed in, in true experimentation, we've dumped several batches over there. I'm not sure I should be saying that, but we've just had to. we've totally missed the mark on what we were going for. No fault of anybody. It's just we're learning how to brew on a brand new system. So
And I mean, some experiments are bound to fail.
right, and we've had some of those. So you know, we've got a couple tap handles over there that were slotted for Braxton Labs beers that just ended up being, you know, maybe a Braxton core beer or something like that.
Is it all? So you said it's 20 for Braxton?
Yep.
Is it all Braxton Labs
It is not.
beers?
So
Okay.
we will try to have whatever is available in cans on tap there, because cans are available in Party Source, and then the rest Braxton Labs.
Okay.
So right now it's about 10 to 12 Braxton Labs handles, 5 or 6 Braxton handles, and then the rest guest taps. We'll eventually get that to 2020 and be 15 Labs, 5 Braxton, and the rest guest taps.
Cool.
We're getting there, slowly but surely.
Great. Takes time.
Yes.
And if you have, you know, another batch you have to dump or an experiment that goes really wrong, it happens.
Right.
Did you have any more questions, Jesse?
Yeah, no, I think we've got a few here. Speaking of your guys' growth, you guys are going on 3 years old now. What has been the most surprising change to you over these trio of years?
To Braxton?
Yeah, to Braxton and for you personally, as you helped launch a brewery.
Yeah.
You are 3 years into it. So we'll start with that. What's the most surprising thing that's changed?
I hope this isn't a cliche answer, and I trust you guys will call me out if it is, but the growth in Covington has been incredible.
Not very cliche.
Between Hotel Covington, we've got Grainwell across the street now, Hannaford down around the corner, and there's more guys moving in before the end of the year, the Duvneck development next door. And what's coolest about that is I think us and Hotel Covington are often referenced as kind of the anchor tenants that really made all of that happen. And that's been really amazing to be a part of that. I remember when we were in business plan writing mode 4 or 5 years ago, Jake and Evan, the two brothers who kind of started this on Braxton Drive, brought me down here and were like, we're going to launch a brewery in Covington. Here's Covington. And we drove around. I was like, we're doing what? Where? And I was familiar with Cincinnati, but I was like,
I mean, outside of Main Strasse, it's like, no, I don't go there.
Right.
And I don't really go to Main Strasse, but I know where it is. I've
Right,
been there.
exactly.
Everything else is like, no, this is.
but there's a lot of really cool momentum happening in the city right now. So that's been how quickly that's happened, with especially now the Duvneck going in next door. That's been really surprising and just been awesome to be a part of. Me personally, what's most amazing to me is we opened with 6 employees and now we've got 44, I think, and it seems like we're always hiring at this point. And so just all the people we've brought on board, we take great pride. Greg, Evan, and Jake's dad always says we're trying to build the 27 Yankees.
So with all the people you've hired, how many people are left in the Northern Kentucky Homebrewers Guild? Is anyone left in that?
I don't know, yeah.
It's basically, if you want a job at Braxton, join the Northern Kentucky Homebrewers Guild.
Yeah, it's our internship program.
Basically it.
No, but those guys are great. I mean,
Right, and I mean, that's where they got started.
They literally helped build this space. Like, so much of our tap room, they quite literally built. And so they'll be here on Saturday, a lot of them volunteering. And they are kind of what got Evan serious about brewing and forever indebted to what they've been able to do for Braxton.
Now, from an industry standpoint, what have you seen change in 3 years? I mean, a lot, but
Yeah, I thought
from the inside, what have you seen change?
I thought we were late 3 years ago, and I still maybe a little bit, but there's still there's still breweries opening like crazy, and I can't imagine opening a brewery in today's industry. There's still plenty of room, I think, for the neighborhood breweries, and there's a lot of national and macro regional, if you will, breweries that have kind of grown into what they are, and they're relatively stable. But I think that growth from going, neighborhood community brewery to regional brewery is really difficult. I think we're on that path, but I think that's probably the hardest thing to do in the industry right now, where it seems like maybe 3 years ago that there was less.
It was easier to gain momentum, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. The velocity was a little bit quicker to get there. But there's just, it sounds kind of cliche and like an easy answer, but there's just more breweries, and a lot of them are awesome. And it's just the shelf space and tap handles aren't growing proportionally to that. So I call it co-opetition now. We're all
I like that. That's actually.
We're all-
I haven't heard that. That's very clever.
Yeah, we're all kind of cooperating to a certain point until you get in the same room with the same buyer and there's only one tap handle left. It's more competitive than it was 3 years ago, I'd say, but it's still very friendly to a certain point.
Now, something I think a lot about is the shelf space issue, that it really hasn't grown a lot lately, and I've seen it sliding backwards in the wrong direction for craft beer anyways. There's more macro stuff out there, especially with buyouts and stuff like that. And now you guys are in, obviously, Covington and Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. Are you in Dayton or Columbus at all in Ohio?
We're in Dayton. We'll be in Columbus soon, spoiler alert. And then we're in Lexington, Louisville, and Nashville as well.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask about Kentucky. So Lexington, Louisville, and you just opened Nashville a few weeks ago, right?
It's been a month or two now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it getting shelf space in those more distant cities? Getting and maintaining. Probably maintaining is a better question.
So maintaining is the hardest part, right?
Everyone's the new thing,
right.
but I've already had that. So.
We're very fortunate with Kroger in our backyard. We've been able to build a strong relationship with them, and they're looking at data. So your beer has to speak for itself, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're not making decisions based on friendships. That helps, but they're looking at data, right? So you've got to build the product that moves. We've been fortunate. We've hit on a couple of those. Graders was a huge success, and that was something Kroger played a large role in. We cross-shopped their stores with Graders ice cream. They thought that was pretty cool. So we just released a Graders collaboration, or a Kroger collaboration that we're tapping on Saturday. It's called 66 Pearl. It's a Belgian strong ale. It's barrel aged. Another 15% beer for you to try on Saturday. So that's been helpful, but it's something that, you know, for a lot of those breweries trying to grow from neighborhood to regional, that's how you're going to do it, or how it's going to support you in doing it, is those chain relationships. And it's something that we're fortunate we've been successful with so far. But you're right, now the fight is to maintain that space and make sure that you're building the product that provides the data that these people want to store on their shelf.
I'd say, speaking of that fight for the tap handles and the shelf space and everything, how have your guys' plans for expansion, or how you saw the brewery grow changed? Because as with so many of, I'd say, like the second wave of Cincinnati craft breweries, like you guys, Mad Tree, Ryan Geis, you guys had just such explosive growth, and the thing I consistently heard from all of you is that, you know, we blew through our 5-year plan in the first year. So what can you kind of, you know, what surprises can you tell us about, or what things can we look forward to with you guys in the next few years? And then what things have you guys kind of had to change and say, look, that's not really feasible anymore, or we've already done that, so, you know, what do we do now?
Yeah, I think, you know, so we opened up Northern Kentucky, then Cincinnati, Lexington, Louisville, Dayton, and then Nashville. And those all kind of Lexington, Louisville, Dayton, and Nashville happened pretty quickly. Not quite back to back to back, but there was they happened relatively quickly. We will open Columbus, spoiler alert, probably pretty soon. And then after that, I think next year you're going to see us going really deep where we're already at. I think we've done everything right to this point, but I think now we truly want to invest in those markets and make sure we're giving them the attention they deserve, including our own backyard. So you'll see us make some decisions and moves next year, if you will, to truly invest in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, in the markets we're already in. And then I think that'll set the foundation for where we want to go beyond that. What's fun is, yeah, we blew through those 5-year goals. And since then, we've been setting goals quarterly, maybe, you know, biannually, and then just annual goals. Now we sat down as a company, and at our last quarterly all hands team meeting, we rolled out a goal for by 2020. And so we are, you know, we're to the point where we can set goals that aren't just stay in business for the next year, right? So you'll see us, I think, next year really lay the foundation for where we want to be in the next 2 or 3 years. We've doubled the business every year we've been open to this point. I think, you know, there's an upper limit to that, so we want to be strategic with how we're growing and not just grow for growth's sake.
It definitely seems the bigger you get, the slower you start growing.
Right, exactly. So I think you'll see maybe that a little bit next year. I don't know if that's wishful thinking or not wishful thinking, but you're going to see us go really deep where we're already at, and then potentially expand beyond that after we do it.
Cool.
That seemed rambling.
No, that was pretty good.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, speaking of expanding your options, I think you had one more thing to kind of share with us. It's your new Deadlow Tropical Tropical Stout with starter coffee. I'm gonna throw that up here for a second. And I know Deadlow is one of the beers I've always enjoyed. It's an unusual offering, especially for an American craft brewery, and it's always seemed to do you guys well. So you've also done a lot with your coffee products and everything here in Kentucky, especially your partnership with the local grocery, Carabello, just kind of down the street. So kind of, has this been long in planning, or what was, tell us the story behind Starter Coffee.
Yeah, so we opened in March of 2015. In June of 2015, the goal was to launch with it, and we just didn't have everything lined up in time. But in June of 2015, we started opening in the morning with Starter Coffee. So Starter Coffee is a proprietary blend and roast working with Carabello Coffee over in Newport. And we tasked them to create us a coffee that we could serve in the morning as a standalone product, hot, iced, and on nitro, but ultimately complemented Deadblow. We love Deadblow, the base beer. It's personally probably my favorite beer that we do year round, but we always had this vision of infusing it with coffee. So they built the profile based on that, and we were super happy with how it turned out. And it's been one of our most popular draft offerings ever since we introduced it. That coffee is not easy to source. It is a pretty premium coffee, and so we've played with how long it's available and when it's available and in what volume it's available and how fresh we need to keep that beer and everything since then. So we've been dialing in what it would take to package that product. We finally got everything dialed in the way we felt proud of, and then introduced it this year in cans. Finally, every time we kind of tease the new can, people are like, Deadblow Starter, Deadblow Starter. We kind of always told them, just wait, we're working on it, and we're perfect time of year. Everything just kind of fell in place to release it in cans. And then, with Starter Coffee, opening 8 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, letting people come in and use our free gigabit Wi-Fi, enjoy a cup of coffee. I can always tell how their day's going by when they switch to beer.
Now, so the cans, is that limited, seasonal, to be year-round?
So we brewed enough, we think, to get through the winter. I don't know how much sense a coffee stout would make during the summer. I will keep drinking it.
My birthday is the summer of stouts. That's what we do for my birthday
That's
party.
awesome.
So I drink stouts year round. It's not a seasonal beer.
Yeah, so we might play with draft versus can availability. We think cans will last us through the winter, and then draft we'll kind of see if people are asking for it. That's something we could do as draft only. It's been close to year round in the past, but never quite full year round. So we're just going to kind of let the customers tell us what they want and go from there.
Cool.
Well, we actually have some viewer questions here from Chris Stevens and Melina Melendez.
Oh, God.
Chris Stevens,
Oh, God.
you guys know, is a long-standing beer blogger here in the city, Queen City Fresh.
Braxton fanatic.
Braxton Fresh, as we like to call it. Also a big fan of Braxton. He asks, are there any changes to the coffee program this year? Also, is the trophy, what's the status of the trophy give back series?
Yes, two good questions. So Starter Coffee, one of the 44 people we did hire is a Starter Coffee specialist, manager. I'm not sure of the exact title, but beer has been growing so fast. We've never truly given Starter Coffee the attention we think it deserves, and it's been kind of a passion project that we didn't have the time for. So we finally kind of just said, okay, we need to hire somebody to own this. And so Andrew is his name. He's been owning it. You'll see him Saturday at Dark Charge. We'll have bourbon barrel aged Starter Coffee available. He'll be serving that up. And then with floors 2, 3, 4 of apartments going in next door, we'd love to maybe provide those people with a place to drink coffee in the morning. And so we're looking at doing more with our coffee next year, and we truly have a coffee expert now and not just a coffee fan, to truly own that product and build it into something bigger and better in 2018. The Trophy Give Back program, turns out pale ale doesn't really do well in bombers, at least not for us. And so the rotating hop and it just created a logistical nightmare for our sales team and getting those beers in and out and rotating the hops and not confusing the customer. So we moved away from that, and we've done more targeted give back campaigns with. We did the first one with Brewhouse Dog Bones. We're actually presenting a check to the Cure Starts Now Saturday at our Dark Charge release, based on the Graders collaboration we did with Elena's Blueberry Pie. And so trying to be more strategic with the charity projects we take on, as well as we do your pint nights for all the charities in here, and gift baskets and all of that. But Trophy has gone away for now. We've talked about bringing back a pale ale. It's more readily available, but it wouldn't be in the 22-ounce bomber format.
Cool. Well, Benito Melendez also has some questions for you.
Oh boy.
The two of them together, too.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it had to be the two of them right together.
You know they're conspiring.
Yes.
They probably are,
Yes,
yeah.
sending messages.
I probably have some.
I'm
girl
surprised
out-
these are readable.
Benito wants to know, will Dark Charge and the variants see any distribution outside of Covington? Or is that a goal eventually, or are you trying to keep it just a special release for the city?
Doesn't he live in Covington?
Yeah, he lives like 6 blocks
That's
away.
why he doesn't want to escape
Right,
it.
right.
Oh, yeah.
So bottles will not be distributed. Probably they won't be distributed this year. I don't see bottles being distributed in the foreseeable future. We always do make draft available, so we'll do some special events with draft. And like we did with bottles this year, we did more drafts this year. So hopefully you see it a little bit more often. But just based on how this beer is produced, I think it'll always be limited to a certain extent. I doubt we start distributing bottles anytime in the foreseeable future. This is the one day we get to be a little selfish.
Right.
Well, it's almost time to end the show, so I guess if we can just wrap back up quick, tell us about all the event details for Dark Charge Day, and how to get us out the door.
Yeah, so Winter Block Party and Dark Charge release is this Saturday, December 2nd from 12 noon to 1 a.m. We've got 7 bourbon barrel-aged bottles being released. They'll be released at noon. We've got 18 guest taps barrel-aged being released, time tappings throughout the day. Dark Charge will be on draft all day this year while supplies last. We've got 4 bands, a DJ, 7 local food vendors serving Dark Charge inspired or infused menu items, and a few other surprises still up our sleeves. So it should be a really fun day. It's looking like the weather's going to work out for us. I always say Mother Nature's a fan of ours because we named one of our beers Storm, so that's the debt we paid to her. So she's been good to us on our large scale events so far to this point. We'll be 7th Street and the parking in front will be closed. Join the Facebook event. All the FAQs and final details will be posted there. And we will have the crosstown shootout. So no matter who you're rooting for, the beer is cold and it should be a good time.
Cool. Can you quick touch on the music and the food here real quick?
Yes, the music 12 p.m. noon will be Floyd and the Walkmen. 3 p.m. is the Hot Magnolias. 6 p.m. is Noah Smith, and then 9 p.m. 500 Miles to Memphis will close us out. We'll have DJs between all those sets, as well as a DJ inside throughout the day. Our food will be provided by Molly Malone's, serving a Dark Charge chili. Flip Daddy's doing a burger with Dark Charge sauteed onion straws. Amerasia doing a Dark Charge marinated short rib over rice. Coppin's doing a slider and a cheesecake with cocoa nib crumble. We've got Smoke Justice doing a starter coffee rub brisket slider with Dark Charge barbecue sauce. Wonder Bar will be doing a Dark Charge infused beef stew. They'll also have their famous pretzels and a veggie dip here for those vegetarians. And then Graders will be here with s'mores ice cream inspired by our s'mores variant. They'll have black raspberry chip and their chip wheelies as well. I think I covered everybody.
That was pretty impressive active memorization there.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
And you did it all without the use of a piece of paper.
Yes.
Right, now the
Awesome.
time tappings and all the
Yeah.
special taps go.
Can you tell I've been salivating about this for a while?
Well, thank you for bringing us in.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Tom, you can take us away.
We just said thanks. What happened?
We'll see you Saturday.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see you Saturday. Everybody show up at noon or a lot earlier if you want bottles. I will probably not be here early. I'll probably show up at like 11:30 again, like I did last year. We'll see. I like to sleep.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone.
So what about
Cheers.
that?